Hey guys, there was some interest on the forums in my step-in binding setup, and I asked if anybody wanted to see a video, and some of you guys said yes, so here you go. I'm going to do kind of a quick video here, go over the bindings, what parts you'd need to accomplish this yourself, the boot, the heel, all that stuff. Let's start with the binding. What you will need is a pair of bombers, either the Elite 2s or the Elite 1s, as long as they are the Elite 1s from the last couple of years that they were made. What you're looking for is these holes where the sole blocks are bolted need to be M6 holes, not M8. The older ones, which are like this, have an M8 hole. Obviously you can tell that's a lot larger. This will not work with this particular setup. These are the newer version of the heel receivers. The old ones were aluminum, these ones are steel. And these are all that you can now get as far as brand new. You can find the old aluminum receivers used. You can find them on eBay sometimes. They pop up on the Alpine Border forums and the classified sections. And that is a fine option, especially if you're looking to save a little bit of money because they're used, they're obviously going to be cheaper. But for me, I decided that this was definitely the way I was going to go. I actually started with the aluminum, but then this is definitely what I wanted to do, so I invested the money in getting the parts to convert these bindings over. Initially I did Elite 2s. These are now the base plates from a pair of Elite 1s, late model. And I'll go into why I did that a little bit later, but for right now, let me go over the parts that you need. So you're going to start out with your regular bombers, and what you're going to do is you're going to get these parts here. This is a kit that you can buy from Bomber Online on their store. This is called the TD3 Step-In Heel Kit. It's $49, and you get what you need for both bindings, a full pair. You get 2 receivers, 2 of the icebreaker plates, 4 bolts, and it's really, really simple. You're going to take this off. This would be the old heel bail. I'm just going to unbolt that, put it away, bolt this stuff in together, and you're good to go. On the front, there's a little bit more of disassembly and reassembly required if you're going to do it this way. You can actually buy a full kit that is the receiver and the front, the toe block with the bail and everything. That's called the TD3 TD2 Retro Kit, but that's $75. And so you're talking $150 to do this, whereas you're probably not going to use those parts anymore, so you might as well just use your ones from your original Elites or Elite 2s. So all you have to do is undo the bolt, or on the original Elites there was 2 bolts, unscrew the banjos, which would have been attached to a toe bail like this with your regular clip. Just unscrew those, put your toe bail in, set everything up, and you're good to go. It's really, really simple. Toe bails are $10 each, so you're talking about $70 for the whole system, which it really isn't too bad when you consider that it's all metal and a lot of work went into these things. For me, you kind of get what you pay for with this stuff, so unless you go used, you might as well just buy the brand new stuff and convert it over. I really, really like this system. As I said, I originally had the aluminum ones, and I'll show you what that looks like. Let me get this stuff out of the way here. Originally I had the aluminum setup, which now this is obviously not a skiboard binding. This is an original Trench Digger 1 from Bomber Industries. This can be used on a pair of skiboards if you really want to. If you happen to be trolling around on the classifieds and you see somebody has a pair of these for a good price, pick them up, as long as you understand that you're either going to take these off and put them on an Elite 1 base plate. Notice that these are the M8s, so they will bolt in here, or you're going to try to use this as it is. But you have to notice the differences. This is designed for snowboard, so the riser, it has a cant to it. The elastomer bumpers are not equal because this is designed to sit at an angle. If you want to ride at an angle, hey, more power to you. If you want to try that out, obviously let us know how that works out for you. But it would be much simpler just to take the heel receiver off, take the toe block off, bolt it onto a regular pair of Elite 1s, and you're good to go. Like I said, these are not available anymore, new. You can find them used, and if you find them at a good price, go for it. The one thing I will mention is that you also can't find Fin Tec heels anymore, not that I've seen. So if you decide to go with this, you are going to have to use the Fin Tecs, and technically the Fin Tecs they recommend not using with the aluminum receiver because it's steel on aluminum. It will gall over time. Having said that, That's really more intended, I think, for the snowboarders because they are taking their heel in and out every single time they have to get on the lift, get off, they're snapping back in. It's a lot more engagement, disengagement. On ski boards, we're locking in and we're just riding. You're going to go in and out, 2-3 times during the day maybe, depending on how many breaks you take. So as far as the amount of wear, it's not going to be bad. I did not start with In Tec heels. I started directly with the Fin Tec heels, and I used aluminum, and I had no problem with it. The one thing I will mention, however, is that the engagement with this is a lot smoother. Steel on steel, a lot smoother. You don't get the galling. This is a little, it's not bad. It certainly isn't bad, but it's just not as smooth. You can feel that there's the rub, there's a bit of a grab there as the steel pin slides down in. Also, this is a taller setup. You should be able to see that the block is taller. That's because this is solid aluminum. And although aluminum is an awesome material, I'm sure this is a high grade 6061 or something like that, they had to make it thick in order to have the strength. Steel, I mean, this is a nice high grade steel. It's just been shaped into the heel receiver, and it's nice and thin, so you just use the regular toe block and you're good to go. But like I said, this is an option. Make sure that you're going to have a wide enough board for this though. I have the KTP here, and you can see that will clear, but if you were to try this on, I don't know, BWPs, which are a lot thinner, I don't know that this would actually work without a riser that would bring it up high enough that when you go over, you're not going to rub the side of the base plate there. But as I said before, you're probably just going to want to take this stuff off, put it on elites, and you're good to go. Now, speaking of the heels, this is an In Tec heel. This is what was originally kind of the industry standard, but as I said, they are not very easy to find anymore, and they're actually, in my experience, more expensive than the Fin Tecs, even though they are an inferior product as far as I'm concerned. This is plastic. It is pretty much all plastic, except for the steel pins. So you're not going to get the resilience that you are with the Fin Tecs. By comparison, the Fin Tecs are all metal. This is solid aluminum, steel. This is a nice UHMW plate that you can swap in and out. That's the one other nice thing I like about this. This was obviously all worn out. I bought this used, and you can't replace that. It's just, that's kind of how it is, so you're stuck with it. This still isn't a bad option. If you find these used and they look like they're in fairly good condition as far as the mechanism and everything, this would be a fine, less expensive way to try out step-ins and see if you like it or not. Get some used in-test, get some used bindings, and bolt it up. Now, speaking of the heel, you need to make sure that you get the right boot. These are the boots that I use. These are the Deluxe Track 225. Deluxe, Reichly, basically the same thing. Any hardshell snowboard boot that has this style heel, which used to have this is what I took off. This was just, it's rubber here and rubber there initially. It's 4 screws, you take it off, and you put your Fin Tec heel in there, and you're good to go. The only other part is running a cable up through the boot here to this handle that you pull on, and that's what actually actuates the pin so that you can get back out. As I said, any hard shell snowboarding boot will work. So the UPZ boots will also work with this. They have the exact same heel. Also, most people don't know this, but Line made the Line transfer boots back in the day, and they are almost exactly like the Reichly boots. They have the exact same heel. Actually, a member of my family has a step-in system where she has some old Line transfer boots, In Tec heels, and she uses the aluminum receivers. Works just fine. Not quite as smooth as mine, but she wanted a cheaper setup, so there you go. It's still a good option. I'll show you another boot that I just happen to have here. This is again another Reichly. So as you can see, the heel is the same. This is from another type of engagement system. Just ignore that. But this would be able to be removed, and you can put the In Tec or Fin Tec in there, and you'd be good to go. Also, these have, as you can see, a rounded sole. They don't have the stupid square toes and heels like ski boots, so they're a lot nicer to walk in. These all come with a heat moldable liner, so they are much more comfortable. Overall, in my opinion, I know ski boots have come a long way, but to me these are still a better way to go. As far as using these with the bindings, it's very, very simple. You can probably hear the squeak there. I have these set fairly tight so that they will stay up. Originally, they had a spring here. so that when you pulled, it would try to bring itself back up. This is kind of worn, but it does kind of spring itself back up. That keeps the toe bail up, so you just put your toe in and then lock in like this. You just go in here, line it up, snap it in. It's a lot smoother when obviously your body weight was pushing it down. But there you can see it's nicely engaged. There's absolutely no movement there. All the flex now is in the boot and in the board, which that's personally what I really go for. The one other nice thing about having the snowboard boots, especially the Reichly boots, is that you can get something like the BTS system here, and you can get definitely lots of flex. These are interchangeable springs. You can tune the flex forward and rear. Not as critical for skiboarding as it is for the snowboarding, but I don't know, I think they look cool too. But as far as coming out, you just pull up on the handle and it lifts right out. And that's literally a little difficult to do at the table, but that's literally all it is involved. One last thing, I had mentioned that you can do this with Elite 2s or the Elite 1s. I initially did this design with the Elite 2s as far as with the steel receiver. And what I discovered is that it's a little too harsh, especially for the thinner boards like the Condors. I almost destroyed a pair of Condors because these bolts here, I was riding along and edging, and it was just too much force. No give at all because it was an aluminum riser, aluminum plate, all metal, and it started to pull these bolts out. And I actually had to cut into the board to get a grip on the inserts because they were just spinning in there when I was trying to back the bolts out. So what I did is I copied Slough, all credit to him for this idea. These are the riser pads from the Revel 8 receptor binding, and these are available on SBOL. You just get the riser kit. It comes with 2 of these. I know Slough does 3, but for me 2 is perfectly fine, especially because I have a lot of torque from this step-in setup. So just bolt these under there. It gives you just enough give so that you save your boards. You might be okay with something like the KTP, the old Cruise Tool 8s, the really solid boards, but I don't personally want to test that. I like to keep my boards in one piece, so I just use the bumper system. So there you go. That's the overall system. I said I really like it. It does take a little bit of getting used to because all the engagement is in the rear. On a normal ski board binding, you're going to have a little bit of flex with this setup. When you have this, your boot is riding here and it's riding here, and when you go and torque over to go into a carve, you're going to have a little bit of flex here. Whereas with this, there is absolutely no flex. It's completely unforgiving. It's very, very rigid. But it also means that your steering comes from your heel, the engagement here. You don't really feel it as much up in the toe. That took a little getting used to, but now I've been doing it for a couple of years, and I don't even notice it anymore. It's very, very natural for me. So there you go. That's the system. That is the Bomber step-in system with the Fin Tec heel on the snowboard boots. And if you guys have any more questions, just hit me up on the forums. I'd be happy to answer them. Maybe even do another video if you guys want some more details. Just let me know. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the slopes.